the mood, definitely. I think we set a really good mood in it. And there are so many things that play there. You know, it's the lighting, it's the music. Of course, I'm proud of my own work. I would like to think I am anyway. And the sound design and the voice acting, the atmosphere. I'm very proud of what we've done there. It feels very claustrophobic. It's a boat, so it's a small closed area, you know. And I do definitely feel that we achieve this, you know, the sensation of being in a sort of a, I don't know, like a closed environment at sea, and you know, you can't get out, you can't run away from there. And I'm really proud of that. The atmosphere is really, really cool in this game, I think. The most surprising thing was how many skills you need. I mean, you would think that you could just do one thing, right? And that would be it. Not so in such a small team. But it's also a very good thing, because the more skills you possess, the more you can do, and the more you can help out, and you can be more involved in the entire process. And I think that's very, very valuable.
I went into this as a designer and writer purely. For the almost first year, I did only paperwork. It wasn't until we suddenly left with 2 and said, okay, well, I need to learn something more.
In this project, I was also a sound designer. I also helped out recording some voice acting. I did some voice Foley myself. I did some Foley acting. I had to learn how to implement action scripts to get menus working. I'd say that the high points were definitely, I mean, when things worked, so to speak. It's like, oh, this actually works, and this was a good idea, and we can make this work in the game. The struggles were when, well, you have a very big team with many different wills at war with each other, and when you don't have a sort of a person who has the final say, then sometimes that won't work quite as well as you wanted it to, and then you end up with a struggle where people won't agree and will sometimes fight, and that happened, and that was I mean, if I could have done this differently, I wouldn't have made a different game, but I might have started out with a smaller team. I might have maybe thought a little bit about our scope, because at the beginning we were aiming for a really high standard. We were going out with, the banners flying in the wind going, this is a sort of a AAA kind of game, only it's not, but it's definitely not indie. We're gonna be awesome. And it's gonna take us just 6 months, and we can do like a whole series of it. And then, 2.5 years later, you go, maybe we should have scaled it down just a tiny bit.
Knowing what I know now, I would have wanted to do some things differently. There are relationships with people that could have ended better. There are, of course, team members we wish we would have kept. Deadlines we wish we could have kept better. Just technical know-how we wish we would have had from the beginning. For example, I wish we would have had the foresight to actually, when we funded the game, ask for enough funding to get paid ourselves. Just a little. Rent and food and stuff.
The funding that we got primarily financed licensing, the music, the orchestra, and the motion capture recording. I would say that we were all students when we began, so we had the student loans that are an amazing part of the Swedish education system, that we actually do get some money for studying. After we graduated and had our degrees, we sort of went on to study more after that, so we could continue getting the loans.
So while I've been working Aurora 8 hours from 9 to 5, I've been taking online courses from different universities, brushing up on my programming languages, some scripting, concept art, creative writing, you name it, and actually earning my master's degree in the meantime.
But eventually, you do run out of the amount of money that you are allowed to get. And that's happened to almost all of us now. So what I do, and what my girlfriend does, who also works on the game, is that we do a late night paper route, and she also works at like a cruise line kind of thing. So that then we sort of get the money that we need to survive, but it's a constant struggle. I mean, you have to work at least 8 or 9 hours a day at this game, and approaching crunch time, it gets even more even longer than that. And eventually you realize, oh, it's like 1 a.m. and I have to go home because in like 1 hour I'm going to deliver, the morning paper to people. And then you get home and you crash for about 2 hours or so, and then you go back here and you continue the grind. And eventually, after a few weeks, you do sort of start to feel a slightly unreal every morning. If the game is successful, then my hopes for the future is to make what we wanted to make in the beginning, which was the next part of the saga, so to speak. Not necessarily a sequel, but sort of like a television series with a red thread going through them. We do love our Lovecraft, we do love our subtle horror, and we have a lot of different projects planned that we could do. So my hopes for the future would be to do those, and if that for some reason doesn't pan out, then, well, I will continue composing, because that's what I do, and that's what I love.
My hope for this is, of course, to get it out on Steam, to get a couple of copies sold, get a little bit of recognition for all the hard work we've done. And of course my hope is in the future that this game will make enough money for us that we can keep going for another 6 months or 12 months, make more games. Best case scenario, we can make a second Aurora-sized game. If not, as long as we can keep making games, keep doing what we love, and still afford rent and food, I will be happy as can be.